online editor going live, and I will answer all your questions if you have any. As soon as I'm done with my little spiel with the main topic here. What am I saying when I say do the basics while you still can? There's going to come a day for almost all of you when you won't be able to do certain things like squats, deadlifts, bench presses, or you won't be able to do them heavy. You might still be able to do them, but with far, far lighter weight than you did in your younger years. I always have to qualify that because there's going to be someone who, in the comment section, Larry Pollock, you've done this several times, who says, I'm 55, I'm still squatting 700, 800,000 pounds and this and that, and I'm still deadlifting 10 billion pounds. And that's great. You're an exception to the rule. Anyone who's been training for 20, 30 years, anyone who's in their late 40s into their 50s who can still train as heavy as they did on all those basics as they did when they were in their late teens, 20s, 30s, you're definitely an exception to the rule. You're not the rule. You're the exception. Just like there's always somebody who can smoke for 40 years and they don't get lung cancer. They can drink for 40 years every day and they don't get liver disease. But, then there's millions of other people who have lung cancer, cirrhosis of liver, liver disease, heart disease, because they smoked and drank. So, I do know some people that are my age, I'm 51 now, that can still squat heavy, still deadlift heavy, still bench press heavy, but I know many, many more, a much, much higher percentage who can no longer do those things. And they rely mostly on machines now. I rely on a lot more machines now than I used to. And it's not out of choice. I'd rather be doing, believe me, guys, I used to be a stud with shoulder presses in particular. I used to go really heavy on the dumbbells. I could do 120s any old day of the week for 10 to 12 unassisted reps, easy, any old day. 225 on the barbell. Sometimes I go 315. Definitely was leaning back too much. My form was not ideal. Squats, I used to be a great squatter, guys. I was an amazing squat. Not the best. I'm not saying I was world class or anything, but for many, many years, I could walk in there any old day and bang out 10, 15 reps with 405, deep reps, easy. Not easy. It wasn't easy. I was working hard, but I couldn't do that now. My back won't let me do it. My knee won't let me do it. We're human beings. There's wear and tear that happens to our tendons, our ligaments. There's this thing called cartilage in between your bones. And when you wear that out, it's gone forever. You don't get that back. I have no more cartilage in this shoulder. I haven't had cartilage in there for at least, I think 10 years ago, it was like paper thin. And shortly after that, it was completely gone. It's just been bone grinding on bone, severe osteoarthritis. So why am I saying all this? I'm not saying this to try to scare you or warn you because, when you're young, nothing. People were telling me there would come a day when I wouldn't be able to do these things. I was like, whatever, dude. Shut up, old man. Grouchy old. You're just a hater. You're jealous. We didn't have the word hater, but fairly recent. But what I'm saying is, if you're in your younger years and you still have all your joints are healthy, your connective tissue's good, everything's good, lower back's good, knees, shoulders, definitely do not waste this period of your life when you can go heavy on barbell, dumbbell, basic movements, bench presses, incline presses, shoulder presses, deadlifts, weighted chin-ups, weighted dips, barbell rows, deadlifts, all that good stuff, squats, front squats, because like I said, eventually there will come a day when you won't be able to do all those things. And these are the most productive exercises. I make a point in a lot of training articles saying machines do work, and they do work. They're resistance, they work. Do they work as well as free weights? Generally speaking, no. And the only reason not to do these free weight basics is because you have some injury or chronic injury, chronic condition like arthritis, something that prevents you from doing it, makes it very unsafe, where either you're injured or there's a very strong chance of re-injuring yourself if you go heavy on that deadlift or that squat or whatever. But if you're young and you're good, do not look to machines. Do not substitute the basics with machines. If you can squat. You can do leg presses after your squats. That's fine. But I'm saying don't do leg presses instead of squats or hack squats instead of squats. Don't do hammer strength rows instead of barbell rows, deadlifts, dumbbell rows. You can do them in addition to. You should do mostly free weight basics in your younger years. When you're still trying to put on size, those are the most effective tool. They give the muscles a different look, a denser look. Last week I was talking to Ronnie Coleman on this channel. You can go look at it. And we talked about the difference in the appearance of the muscle because Big Ramy and Ronnie Coleman, size wise, not much different. They're really about about the same size. Ronnie in his prime competed anywhere from 250 to 26. He was up and down over the years. But his heaviest, the one that everyone likes to reference, is the 2004 Mr. Olympia, where Ronnie was 296 pounds. I'm going to get to that. All questions I will get to at the end, I promise. So, what's the difference between Ronnie? If they weigh the same, if they're the same height and weight, roughly speaking, Ronnie was 5'10" and a half. I think Rami's about 5'10". I just stood next to him recently, and I'm like 5'7" and a little over 5'7" and a half now. I'm down about 3/4 of an inch from where I was in my 20s and 30s. He's about 5'10", and he was 290 at that show. Rami's been as high as 300. So let's just say Ronnie Coleman and Big Ramy, are the same size. Roughly speaking, they are. But Ronnie's physique had a different look to it. Genetics definitely played a role. He had that round, full muscle belly shape, and that's something you're born with or not born with. We don't see much of that. We see that Phil Heath has that, Rolly Winkler has that, Flex Wheeler had that, Justin Compton. There's not a lot of people with the real round muscle bellies where it looks like it's hanging off the bone. It's a rare thing. But the quality of the muscle, Ronnie's muscles were denser, harder, grainier. They had a different look to them because Ronnie trained almost exclusively on heavy barbells and dumbbells. He did very, very little in the way of machines. Where Ramy, strong guy, I've seen him do things with heavy dumbbells and everything, and I know he squats heavy and everything, but Ramy does mix in a lot of machines. Ramy doesn't train like Ronnie, and I'm not saying, you have to train like Ronnie because it's a high risk. When you train with very, very heavy free weights for years and years, the chances are you're going to get messed up. Eventually, you're going to break down. You're either going to tear something or you get nerve damage or chronic issues. Most people do. Like I said, there's going to be some very lucky people who don't sustain that kind of damage, but they're definitely definitely the exception, not the rule. But it does give your muscles a different look. Dorian trained very heavy. I know he used machines and free weights, but trained very, very heavy, and that gave him a dense look. So I really honestly believe that even though I love machines, I've always used machines in conjunction with free weights. I still believe, and I want to impress it upon you younger guys who still have all your healthy joints and you still can do things like heavy squats and deadlifts and bench presses. Do all the free weight basics. Don't shy away. Don't substitute machine dips for dips. Don't substitute squat machines for squats, hammer strength machines for bench press or dumbbells. Do as much with free weights as you can now because will come a day, years down the line, it might be sooner rather than later for some of you, and for some of you, you might get lucky and be able to train very heavy with free weights well into your 40s, maybe even your 50s. But there will come a day when you're going to have to back away from the heavy free weight basics and you're going to have to turn more toward machines and cables to stimulate the muscle. But you don't want to do that now because they're not as effective. If you start off training with a lot of machines and cables and just a little bit of free weights versus somebody who almost exclusively uses free weights, I can guarantee you if genetics are equal, let's say they're twins, let's try to play it that way. The one who uses all free weight basics, he's going to put on a lot more muscle and his muscles will have a thicker, denser, harder look to them than the other guys will. Ronnie even said, Phil Heath, big dude, obviously, huge muscles, but they didn't even have the same look that Ronnie's did because Phil didn't train as heavy as Ronnie. Who did, right? So that's all, guys. I really would want you to get the most out of your training. And you don't have that perspective that I have. So I'm trying to help you guys out because if someone had really sat down with me and made me understand all this, I probably would have used a lot more free weights, although I did plenty of free weights. So it's not like I missed out. I did a lot of pressing with dumbbells and barbells, a lot of squats. Deads, I hurt myself in my late 20s on deads. So for a good 10 years after that, it was just rack deadlifts, but that's still a heavy barbell movement. Stiff leg deadlifts, all kinds of free weight movements. They are the most effective, and you're not going to be able to do them forever. So with that, I'm going to go to some of your questions if I can. Let's see. I do F5. Okay, guys, I'm going to your questions now. Theoretically. I got to turn the volume off. Commercials playing. It's covered by the. Okay. So, is there a difference between men's physique training program and bodybuilding classic physique? I think in men's physique, the only real difference would be you don't have to train your legs as heavy. Most of them do anyway. Most men's physique guys I know, obviously, mainly I know no pros, they do train their legs heavy. You don't see it because of the board shorts, which I think is ridiculous. They should go to like some sort of higher shorts where you can see the legs for men's physique. I don't understand the point of not seeing most of your lower body. They do a lot more midsection, a lot more abdominal training because that's a key point. That's more of a key point in men's physique. Men's physique is all about wide shoulders and back, little tiny waist, great midsection. They're looking for shoulders and arms and all that, but they're looking for a tiny waist and a really well developed 6 pack or 8 pack, whatever God gave you. Some people have a 4 pack with the serratus and all that. So they do spend more time. But other than that, I don't think. Bodybuilding class physique, they train the same. They're everyone's trying to maximize their development for their respective division. Classic has a height and weight limit. A lot of the guys in Classic, they're in Classic because they're not meant to be huge guys. In bodybuilding these days, you do have to be pretty damn big. It's a requirement. Back in the older days, you could be a little smaller. If you had great proportions and shape, you'd still do pretty well. But these days, just the standards for mass have gone a different direction. So that was from Sajjad Patan. Luca Quadrelli. Who's squatting the thumbnail? That's me. That was 1996 in the pink, hot neon pink tights, 600 pounds. So I was like 27 there, 27. I believe I want to say 96. Yeah, so I was 600. The most I got up to in squats was 725. I wasn't, and I'm not claiming I went all the way down at 725. I definitely wasn't doing a full rep, trust me. But I did full reps with 500 on many occasions. I would only do like 3 or 4 reps with it, but yeah, I was a pretty good squatter. A lot of you guys out there are better. There's a kid at my gym, Josh Brown. He's a hell of a squatter. Ronnie had